Yo YouTube everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're doing an updated class and settings video. Sit back, relax, let me show you guys what has changed since the last one. So starting off with the class setups, the Rival 9, nothing's really changed, but if you guys needed the class, this is the one I'm rocking. This is the pro build, the one that every single pro does use for the Rival. Normally the submachine guns don't have much versatility until something changes, maybe with an update and then the attachments, but for now that's what you run. Okay, now before my last video I did actually have a pistol on mine. I actually had the Renetti, and the reason why I've switched to a knife is because honestly it's not for the kill, it's just simply for the movement, right? So I actually think the knife's a lot better, but because it's banned in the pro league I just didn't want to use it. But for rank play I'm just going to use kind of what's the best stuff. So as you can see, if I have a knife right now, I'm not going to be going around trying to shoot people, not shoot people, I'm not trying to kill people with a knife. It's simply for movement when I'm sliding around corners, stuff like that. And then if I go into a gunfight and I engage into someone, I'll simply get my SMG out. Okay, so before the pistol, I feel like you don't need a pistol because it's more close range, and because you already have a submachine gun, I just feel like it was a little bit overkill. So I did it because of the GAs, but without the GAs this is what I would run. I personally like quick grip. I see a lot of people say, do I use assault gloves and marksman? I don't know what it is. Assault gloves is pretty good. I did use it normally because it gives you that ADS as well. But for me, I'm just a fan of quick grip. It says it increased weapon swap speed, but I feel like it also makes you chuck your trophies and equipment a lot quicker. I don't know why that's not there, but for me, I'm a big fan of quick grip for both classes. If I was to switch it for the SMG, I'll probably run assault. For the AR, I'll probably run marksman. But for me, I use quick grip for both. Anyways, going over stun or smoke. If you're playing respawn, obviously you can only use a stun. If you're playing S&D, you can have a smoke class, just allows you to make more plays. I would recommend it. In terms of semtex or frag grenades with an SMG, I always go with semtexes, right? It's a lot quicker, a lot faster, a lot easier to use. However, in search and destroy, again, I will have a frag grenade class just because it allows you to make those plays and hit those nade spots. Interestingly enough, I have two classes now, okay? One with the trophy system, so this is my normal main everyday, every game class. This is the one I normally run with. Then I actually have a lightweight build. I've not tried this out yet, but the only difference is instead of a trophy, I actually run dead silence, and with dead silence I actually run lightweight. Okay, so something I'm trying out. I see a lot of the pros also trying it out. What happens is with lightweight you move faster, so your timings can be slightly quicker, especially with a knife. You can get to those power spots, get to those rotations slightly faster than everyone else. So if you do have dead silence, maybe in search and destroy, pop this class on, go through, go with lightweight, you'll get there quicker than them and you'll be able to set up and get those easy kills. So those are my two rival classes. This has just come out today. I believe this is lunchtime's build. I did see on Twitter. I have not tried the build out, okay? I've not tried the build out. It's very early days. The update had just come out today. But yeah, it's just one of those where I don't know if it's going to be meta, but I thought, why not include it? You know, I seen it on Twitter. Apparently, it could be meta. It's one of those guns where it just got buffed in the update. So this is a Striker 9 build. Try it out. Let me know down in the comments. Again, shout out to Lunchtime. I think I got it from his Twitter. And yeah, again, not tried it. If it's good, it's all down to him. So try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Going through, pretty standard stuff here, same as my first rival. So all I literally did was copy my class across, renamed it, and added a striker. That is literally it. Going over, now we have two MCW builds. These two builds I've kind of been using for a while now, and I'm very confident in the ability of these builds. And for me, they're my favorite ones. Starting off with the MCW long range. This, for me, is a scrappy build. I don't think it's his actual build. I can't remember, but it just reminds me of that long range kind of beam. And for me, I don't know why, I use a Toronto Ultra camo and I feel like I'm scrappy on the map, even though I'm nowhere near as good. But going over, starting off with the flash hider. I've been using this for the longest time. A lot of people were using the T51 billeted break. I don't know why. For me, as soon as I put the flash hider on, I was just really comfortable with it. I feel like it's really good for that long range. Got the barrels the same. You got the reflector again. The only difference is I actually had the stock on it before. They keep nerfing the stock, so I actually had the precision before they nerfed it again. Now I have the hand stop and I also have the claw grip. Okay, so this is my longer range build. Just a really good build, man. I highly recommend it. Then the only difference here is everything's the same. We go to my closer range build. So the only difference is instead of having a muzzle, we actually put on a stock, right? And this stock is going to be the precision heavy. So before we had the precision heavy and the muzzle, and we didn't have a, I think, an underbarrel or a grip or something. But yeah, so anyways, this is my long range build. Try it out. And I do have the MK3 for my long range build. I think this is really important. Me personally, I feel like the long range, I just feel like the MK3 is an absolute beam. Now, in terms of short range, I just prefer the slate reflector. So for me, I actually before I was under the impression that I need to use one sight to get used to it. Now I'm actually thinking, right, you know what, if I have two builds, I can use a slate for close range and I can use the MK for long range. And for me, it's been a lot more beneficial, allows me to differentiate between the two, and there you go. You could probably try some different stocks. I have seen people try this one. Again, it's kind of early days, so it's just about letting the pros try out the meta. I'll go through, test them out, see what I'm comfortable with, and go from there. And I highly recommend you guys do the same thing. Try both these builds out, see what you're comfortable with, and go from there. Semtex or frag, I like using both. It depends on honestly, just depends on my mood. If I was going to choose, I'd probably have a frag grenade on this class. Again, the long range class. Oh, what's that? Okay. Didn't know that's a thing, but yeah, I'll probably have a frag grenade on the long range class and I'll have a Semtex on this one. That's probably how I would have it, but personally, I use a Semtex on both right now just because I'm feeling more comfortable with it in the moment. Those are all the class setups, nothing too crazy, nothing's really changed. Those are all 5. Oh, forgot the Renetti. I've actually been trying out the Renetti. This is the build I'm comfortable with. I don't like the slate, I don't mind the slate reflector. I actually prefer it without, okay? So first things first, the short competition barrel. This gun is insane, by the way. If you put these attachments on, it is insane. So this gives you that little horizontal recoil control. Gets rid of a little bit of bullet range, but again, with this build, you don't really need it. Go over with a short competition, just makes it a little bit faster. Then we have the heavy V4, it gives you that ADS, gives you that sprint to fire, and then the grip, I think that takes away a bit of flinch, there you go, and gives you some movement. Really, really good build. Highly recommend trying it out, and these are the class setups. Now, going over to the updated settings, so one big thing has changed. Let's go over and see what's happened. So, starting off, let's go down from controller. What am I playing on? Playing on tactical flipped, default stuff there, nothing's really changed there. In terms of dead zone, so now that I've got my new controller, I'm down to 1 and 1. Left stick, left trigger and right trigger, I always put that on 0. And then the right stick max, I feel like, I don't know why it's on 97, 95. I think I used to have these on 99, and I don't know why. I think I watched some settings and I tried it out, and I've left this on 70 now. Apparently it makes it easier to like strafe and stuff, and this on 95. Just one of those ones where just make sure the most important thing you want to look out for is your right stick minimum and your left stick. So make sure they're as low as possible without stick drift, okay? So if you guys don't know what stick drift is, it's basically been in every single one of my videos with my broken controller. It's when your right stick mainly moves around. So if we test stick dead zone here, right, what you can do is if I'm gonna move my right stick down, then I'm gonna let go, and you can see it goes back to the center, right? So let's say, for example, yours was like this. Let's say it stayed out like this. You can see, okay, you know what, it's not going back to the center. We have a bit of stick drift. So all you would do is go back down and adjust your right stick. Go up. I would say if it gets over 5, you need to start looking at your controller and say, okay, maybe it's time to change it potentially, because after 5 it does get a little bit delayed, and that's not what you want. 6.6, been running it for a while now. 6.6 I'm comfortable with. Is just one of those things where it's what you're comfortable with. I would say anywhere between 6 and 7 is fine. You can get away with high sensitivity. I just think you're better off with the low sensitivity, and I'm sure in the future I'll go back to high because I always switch. But yeah, for the last few months I've been sticking with 6.6, and I've been seeing, to be honest, I feel like it plays really well. Going over, none of these change. Pretty standard stuff, don't touch any of it. This one's really important. Make sure you have it on dynamic, okay? It's basically just increasing your aim assist, makes it really strong. Make sure it's on dynamic. All the pros use it. Going over here, nothing crazy. Someone asked me on comments, am I on default or Black Ops? I've been on default for a while, so there you go. I am on default. I don't really touch anything else. Make sure that's off. This is the most important thing, okay? So before, in my last guide, I actually had ATS on. Recently, I've been messing around with single tap run, and I have to say, man, I think it's better. There is a part of me that thinks ATS is still good, but single tap run, the reason why I think it could be better, by the way, the slide dive behavior, this is a new thing I'm trying. I don't know whether to put it on slide only or hybrid. I'm kind of keeping hybrid right now, but I'm going to play around with it. But yeah, going back to the single tap run, let me show you why it's so important. And this is something I was kind of struggling with ATS, but I wasn't sure whether to make the change. Let's say I'm standing like this, right? And I want to jump to the side. If I'm going like this, if I'm checking a room, I couldn't do this before. I couldn't just go in and have the hip fire. The reason why it's so important to have your gun by the hip is because whenever I want to, right, I can do this now. See, I can shoot really fast. But when you're caught in sprint, it takes you a second. You caught, it takes you a second. So let's say I'm running, it takes you a second to get there, right? However, if you're not running, you're kind of standing your ground, you can center onto them and you can just leave them at range. Stuff like that. So it just makes it a little bit easier to fire from the hip, especially when you're walking around, you're like hip firing, stuff like that. So close range combat, I feel like especially then, definitely could benefit you from not using ATS. However, you do get that movement kind of disadvantage, right? With ATS, you're able to kind of move around a lot more cracked, a lot more fluid. So I think for Warzone, you definitely want ATS just because you have so many more kind of long, just long range like duration of running and stuff like that. But for rank play, I actually do think single tap might be better. It just depends on your playstyle, what you like. I've tried both, and I kind of like in single tap more right now, which is weird because I thought ATS was broken. I still might go back to ATS just because I feel like I do have that movement advantage. This way, I get rid of the movement advantage, but I have more control over my shot. For example, search and destroy. Let's say you're trying to shoulder something, right? You don't want to constantly be sprinting into the shoulder. This way just gives you more flexibility of your controller, and it's just a really good way of kind of going through. So try single tap run and let me know what you think. Going down, nothing's changed there. Everything's the same. Only thing is different is slide and dive behavior. This is new, so I'm trying hybrid. What I recommend is doing what I do, right? Is put a star on them. So if you press the Y or the triangle button, you actually put a star on them, and what happens is if you go to your quick settings, they end up being there, and you can kind of mess around and change them from there. Nothing else has changed there. Everything else is the exact same. Prioritize reload is the normal one. I like prioritize interact just because I'm used to it from Warzone, so that's what I'm personally using. Everything else is basically the same. Yeah, don't really touch anything else there. Going over to the graphic settings, that's a big one. I am on 240 FPS. I'm on 1440p. I've got my new monitor which does support that. So basically just have your screen refresh rate to the highest it can be. This is basically your FPS, right? So what you want to do is you want to match your FPS to your monitor. So now that I had an upgraded PC, I had to also upgrade my monitor because my monitor before would only go up to 144 Hertz. So it would only go up to there. But my PC could get 250 frames. So you want to make sure your screen refresh rate, this is basically where it gets capped at. This is what your monitor can set as a max, right? So my monitor can only get me 240 frames, but my PC gets around that. So that's absolutely fine. So you want to make sure they kind of match over to each other. I don't know why it resets. Sometimes around with the full screen stuff, like exclusive and stuff like that, it changes it. But going down to the biggest kind of thing, it's going to be the FOV, okay? The FOV is the biggest thing. And for me, I play 97. I've been playing 97 for a while now, probably the most of Modern Warfare 3. I can't speak English. I'm a huge fan of 97. I feel like it's the best one for me, just because it's zoomed in enough where I can see people at range and absolutely beam them, and it's not too zoomed in where I feel like I'm getting costed by the lack of FOV. I actually went through a phase where I was on 120 frying people, and I was really kind of having that placebo effect. It's just not as good as a lower FOV. It really isn't. When you go up against a good player on a head glitch, you'll definitely then start to see the difference. If I went to a bronze lobby right now on 120 FOV, I feel like I could fry and get that dopamine. But if I went up against a top 250 player and I couldn't even see them on the map and I'm getting killed, I'm like, you know what? This is definitely not helping me. This is actually costing me, and that's why I decided to stay on 97. But there you go. Those are my updated class setups and settings. You guys know the drill. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. If you're still here, you clearly got some value. So please subscribe to the channel because we do upload Call of Duty content daily. Make sure to check out the Discord in the description and the YouTube. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.